Welcome back to Sunrise, where the fun rise. Top of the morning to you who are just joining us this morning. It's a good time if you're right on time. Why you're right on time? Because it's time for headlines, and we head over to our girl, TK.
When TK comes, we don't want bad news. Only good news. With it from the top. I need a line for that one. Hi, TK.
We're getting there.
We are. It's going to be a fun song. They're going to make a jingle out of it, and every time you sit here, they're going to play that song.
I love that. Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. I'll go in the studio today.
Ooh.
I can't sing, but he's going to help. You can clap.
Yes. No, we can mime. We can mime.
Why
Yeah,
not?
please don't make IT sing.
Yeah, no, okay.
We won't do that.
We won't make that happen.
All right, let's jump right into the headlines. Of course, big news happening out of yesterday. Government walkout. Parliament ended abruptly Tuesday afternoon when the Prime Minister and members of his cabinet walked out of Parliament during PNP President Mark Golding's budget presentation. The government's exit from the chamber caused the number of attendees to fall below the required quorum, forcing Mr. Golding to suspend his presentation. Deputy House Leader Babsy Grange was the sole government representative left in the House. The issue that sparked the outrage, Mr. Golding expressed concern about the appointment of Juliet Holness, wife of Prime Minister Andrew Holness, to the post of House Speaker and the possible conflict of interest that represents. And of course, that has been all over the news based on the fact that as House Speaker, it is possible, or it could be seen that, according to Mr. Golding, it could be seen that she could be in a position of protecting issues that could damage her husband's position, but could be in the best interest of the country for her to expose. And the Prime Minister is saying, no such thing. And so that's something that is,
the first thing I want to say is, why is that a fresh discussion? Because it's not a new position. She's been in it for some time now.
And is it constitutionally wrong? Because I feel like, that is something that should have been decided on before she was
given the
exactly.
position,
so meaning
elected.
I don't think it is constitutionally wrong. Is what I'm saying.
No, of course it isn't.
So, but I'm just saying that the issue is much. It's
deeper, broader.
So Mr. Golding actually held a press conference,
I saw that,
after all of this happened, where he kind of addressed some of that and brought some clarity based on his perspective. And so what he shared was that every member has the opportunity to be selected as the House Speaker. And so she was selected, and the opposition had the opportunity to oppose it.
Right.
However, it's a formality, and nobody opposes it, right? And so the opposition didn't oppose it because the formality is you receive this script, you read the script, and you don't oppose it. So they didn't oppose it, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And so had it been opposed at that time, it could be seen as, well, just because you are the wife of the Prime Minister, we're saying you are incapable of performing this task, which could be seen as discrimination. What Mr. Golding is saying is that, no, we're not saying that. Do your job, do your thing. Now that you've been in the position, now that we've seen you perform these tasks,
is an assessment then?
We are saying we have some concerns, having given you the opportunity to perform these tasks. We do have some concerns, and we are concerned about some conflicts of interest with no discrimination beforehand, and we are expressing some concerns now, having given you the opportunity to perform your role.
So the evaluation or the discussion should heighten or amplify those things that are part of the evaluation outside of the relationship that she has with the Prime Minister. So we're looking at the job and the performance of the job and whether she's performing it equitably, fairly, and those shouldn't those be the considerations?
Yeah,
rather than, because to me it seems that the consideration now is, it is because of the relationship.
Right.
Why she's no longer she doesn't enjoy the confidence of the opposition anymore to remain in that position. That's what I'm saying. The timing of the discussion, the timing of this issue. And then the interesting thing, what I discovered, we are reminded that when the government walked out, there wasn't a quorum for them to continue. Which means anytime this happens, it has to be adjourned abruptly.
I think another concern that the general public had was, you know, Mr. Golding, was that the right time? Was that the right place? You know, it's a budget discussion. You know, was that the time and place to discuss something like that? We were talking about the budget.
Yes.
And I know that, you know, CVM News had Senator Peter Bunting on, and he brought an interesting perspective to it, and he said the budget presentation, you know, the pillar of Mr. Golding's discussion was good governance, which is what the budget was about. It was about good governance. It was about how he plans to ensure, you know, transparency, accountability. And so it was one of the only times that the opposition leader has to address the country as it relates to transparency and governance, and that includes and encompasses something like that. And so technically it was a good time. As a matter of fact, it was the best time to address that issue. And so yes, it was in fact a good time. However, CVM News last night also had Dr. Chang, Horace Chang, who, you know, said actually, this was actually just an opportunity for the PNP to undermine, you know, the government. It was just an opportunity for them to twist an issue. And so, you know, I appreciated CVM News giving us, you know, the two perspectives and giving us the opportunity to kind of get an idea of how both sides saw the issue. And so,
and you've broken it down beautifully.
Yes, yes.
I love you, TK.
yes, but we'll see what happens.
Indeed.
It's definitely the first time in history that this has happened. Like a government walking out during a budget presentation. It's never happened in history. So
right, but don't forget that
what happens.
House member Everett Warrington came back in 3 times.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, let's move on.
Next headline, please.
He did. Let's go to the next headline. Obesity on the rise. Jamaica is now facing a looming health crisis as childhood obesity rates continue to climb. So clinical nutritionist at the Caribbean Institute for Health Research, CARE, Dr. Susan Suarez-Winter, shared the findings Tuesday at an editors forum examining the urgent need for exhaustive food regulations in Jamaican schools, noting that the Caribbean countries lead in global consumption of sugary drinks. So in Kingston, 86% of students consume an average of 16 teaspoons of sugar daily from beverages alone. And an alarming 80% of local deaths are caused by non-communicable diseases. Dr. Winter has not ruled out an all-out ban. So back in 2019, then Education Minister Roel Reid had promised a plan to restrict the sale of high sugar drinks in schools. The Health Ministry later implemented the initiative, though talks of a more comprehensive SMP have stalled. In the interim, the Heart Foundation of Jamaica is advocating for heightened transparency in food labeling practices. We need to know how much sugar is really in our foods and beverages and what the effects are.
And we need to be not just looking at sugary drinks. I think something that we overlook all the time are all of the breads and the starches and how all of those are loaded with sugar. And we really need to start looking at sugar like how we look at anything else that is highly addictive. And it is literally, I mean, you know, when I went to Surgics the other day, we were talking about, you know, prosthesis and all that stuff. The number one thing is diabetes and everybody losing limbs because of diabetes, which is a huge problem as well. And so, yeah, I mean, the sugary drinks, the sugary foods, it's always surprising where else it's hiding, is my thing. It's not just drinks, but that's a good place to start.
And it's interesting that it's being labeled as energy.
I
so
know.
It's like it's energy drinks and give your child energy. Or if you need, you know, this extra pickup in the mornings, drink this
that ain't
and
the way to
take
do
this.
it.
And it's like,
What a time too, because we're entering a season where, speaking of sugar, we're going to be consuming a lot of that thing that comes around at Easter time in the boxes.
But at least that is seasonal.
It's seasonal.
It's not something that should be a part of our everyday lives. And I think for children who they cannot, they don't know how to exercise that self-control. If I give my children money for the tuck shop, you think them gonna go buy water? Or them a buy a fruit? No, ma'am. Them a buy all kind of something that they don't need to really have access to. And that's why we are parents who can then control those substances.
So the goal is to get more water to be a part of the culture. So that's the goal. That's the goal.
Good one.
So last up, why not Wednesday? Live your favorite. Let's go real quick. A Missouri museum takes world record for wearing underwear.
Wearing underwear?
No.
This is
man.
really, really
What
strange.
is? Not me.
Really strange. So the City Museum in St. Louis,
Why?
Missouri successfully broke a Guinness World Record by gathering 355 people to wear underwear on their heads
Whose
at the
underwear?
same time. The City Museum provided the white briefs for the attempt, then proceeded to break the record for the most people wearing underwear on their heads for 314 days. A local holiday celebrated March 14 in honor of the city's 314 area code. So the museum aimed to beat the previous record of 270, which was set in Naperville, Illinois, in 2012. The museum previously earned the Guinness World Records titles for the largest pencil, the longest seesaw, and the largest tennis racket. It also holds an unofficial record for the world's largest pair of underpants, which, so that's what's happening in the United States of America.
Oh
That's
my God.
what's
It's
happening.
time
You said it
for a
right
break.
because that photo that was on screen, I could never imagine that being a
I
photo
hope I
taken
brief
at a
them that,
dance
man.
hall.
Come on, man.
They're
Come
new
on.
white briefs,
Them
man.
the new.
They're new.
Wednesday's service is up next so that we can.
And this one
Clean
is the
this
Bible
up.
study edition. So
Thanks,
we
TK.
move up.
Yes,
We're
and
moving on
from
up.
under to
Yes.
up to upperwear.
From the white briefs.
Yeah. From
I
under
can't.
to up.
I can't. I
The
can't.
right direction up.
Let's
Second
go to
stay.
a break. We need a break from them headline there.